If it's a lazy, uneventful, boring Thursday evening for you, you've come to the right place. Cricbuzz Live is where things are always buzzing, and we're in the company of two very enlightened gentlemen with lots and lots of stories and insights. Parthiv Patel, looking like he's come straight from a fashion show in Italy. Lovely suit there. Well done to the stylist. And Mr. Bhattacharjya, always full of stories. Today, the story, Joy, is that cricket goes to a venue where they haven't had any cricket for a long time, almost over a decade. Why would the ICC do this?
No, I mean, they're just promoting in the West Indies. They're trying to promote it. And in fact, during the 2007 World Cup is when Arno Swale they started using that venue on a regular basis. It was remade at that time. This is, remember, one part of the West Indies called St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Yeah.
And if you want to know a little bit more about it, Pirates of the Caribbean was shot there. So it's an interesting kind of place, I can tell you that much.
See, we've given you a little dose of trivia and story. You were saying something.
Yeah, and there's one more story. The one player, cricketer from there who's emerged is a chap called Nixon McLean. Nixon McLean has three other family members, three other siblings. Their names are Reagan McLean, Kissinger McLean, and Golda Meir McLean. So clearly the parents were a very political family.
The power play starts here on Cricbuzz Live. See, two boundaries with the first two balls from Mr. Bhattacharjya. But Parthiv, you've taken a look at the pitch before we walked into the studio. They're saying it's a great pitch. That's what Logan Van Beek said yesterday. What's your assessment of how this could play?
It would. You can use that great word if you compare that pitch to New York.
You can use that great word if you compare any pitch to New York.
Any pitch to that New York pitch. But it looked definitely better pitch than what pitch was offered in New York. Still, it's not your 180, 190 kind of a pitch. They'll definitely, because there isn't much of cricket being played on that pitch again. But they'll be slightly two-paced. But at least you'll get to see that 160, 170 score which we are talking about. Usually, so we're used to it in an international cricket. But yeah, there'll be a bit of movement initially. There's a lot of wind also in that part of the world. There's a bit of fresh grass on the pitch as well. So you might just see a bit of movement initially for the fast bowlers.
Well, both these teams lost to South Africa in New York, and it was a South African, Sean Pollock, who did the pitch report. So, well, your guess is as good as ours. How much do these teams want to trust Sean Pollock's pitch report? Now, why is this game important? Finally, we have a game with a lot of context, Joy. South Africa beat both these teams in New York, as I said. Both these teams have won one and lost one, and this is scenarios.com for you, Joy.
Yeah, again, this is a very simple thing. Basically, South Africa's through, they've won all three. Bangladesh, Netherlands win to meet both games to secure qualification for sure.
Yep.
If they win one of the two, then they're in a situation where they may depend on other results. They may have to depend on run rate. Sri Lanka needs to beat Netherlands and hope this is a no result. Because if it's a no result, only then can they actually ever catch up. And of course, then South Africa beats Nepal, which is likely to happen. And Nepal needs to win both their fixtures and hope that Netherlands lose. So Nepal and Sri Lanka is very difficult. For Bangladesh and Netherlands, this is a crucial match.
Yep.
They win this, they're on their road to qualification.
Bangladesh will be kicking themselves for not being able to finish that game against South Africa. Keshav Maharaj was defending, 11, I think, in the last over. Yep. It was their game to lose.
Yeah, it was clearly served to them on a proper plate there.
Yeah.
They chased it really well. They were right in the game till last over. South Africa were hoping that they would try and get wickets. They were under pressure, and that is the reason why they had to keep Keshav Maharaj over at the 20th over.
Yeah.
Because they knew that importance of taking wickets. That is the reason why they've been pushed throughout the chase. Yeah. But Mahmudullah was set. There was a full toss there, and then there are two full tosses. Then one to Takshim as well. But Mahmudullah had that proper full toss kind of a delivery, which you usually get it in throwdowns when you start when you go early in the batting. We want some full tosses just to get that feel and that kind of ball. But Bangladesh would be disappointed because they've played well. They've beaten Sri Lanka. They've almost there to beat South Africa. So now they have put themselves into a situation where they have to win games, and that too against Netherlands, which is not, it's not going to be just a run through just because it is Netherlands.
Winner will feel better. It will be the second win for the team that wins tonight. And the loser of today has to hope that today's winner loses their second game. Let me simplify it for you. As Joy said, we'll take a look at the remaining fixtures. Joy, who's more likely to go through as a second qualifier from Group D?
So very clearly, whoever wins this is in pole positions, because you can depend on South Africa Nepal beating South Africa is a very unusual result.
Yeah.
And then Sri Lanka versus Netherlands, even if Sri Lanka win at that stage, if the Netherlands have won this match, then they have a very, very good chance.
Yeah.
Bangladesh versus Nepal, Bangladesh will think they'll put it across. Bangladesh is telling themselves, if we win today, we should be able to beat Nepal.
Yeah.
Sri Lanka is the one in trouble, because even their problem is that if this match has a single result, whichever way it goes against them.
Here's what Sri Lanka will want, a no result. And, the latest from St. Vincent is that it is raining and toss has been delayed. We hope that we do get a full game. There's a fair bit of time left. Batters will certainly be hoping, because they've been suffocated for a ball that sort of comes onto the bat. They haven't been able to play through the line in New York. Safe to say, Parthiv, that the team that dominates with the ball will have the upper hand tonight.
Obviously batters will feel better. There is no doubt about it, because ball will come onto the bat. And when you come out of so much of difficult situations, I think, you always wanted to get out of New York.
Yeah.
But this pitch will offer some pace, which is needed. But now with rain around, with a bit of fresh grass, still it won't be that easy for openers to play with new balls. So bowlers will definitely get some sort of help initially. But it won't be a struggle. Like, what we've seen in New York is people have not been able to score runs, and they are not getting out also. You don't see teams getting all out in New York. So that is something, it's kind of that struggle. You keep on playing, but you don't get out also.
Yeah.
But here you will get that opportunity to score runs, and bowlers will also get the chance to take wickets.
The one question, Joy, that's been asked across cricket shows for the last decade or so has been, what is plaguing Bangladesh cricket? You look at their numbers in T20, the conversion rate has been horrible. I mean, in the red for sure. Take a look at that. Just a 25% win ratio in T20 World Cups. You look at the ODI World Cup as well. If I remember correctly, the last time they made the knockouts of an ODI World Cup was back in 2015, I think, when they lost to India. What's going wrong with them?
They lost to the Netherlands in Calcutta this year, in 23.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, the point of it is, I think there are two reasons for it. One is that they put a whole lot of Bangladesh, it's an emotional country, cricket is the biggest game. They put a lot of pressure on the players. And it's not just the media, it's the media, the fans, the board. All of them put a lot of pressure on the players. And you'll always see one great thing about India is that no matter what happens, you'll rarely see in modern times a board president talking too much about players or talking, his job, that's a coach's job, that's the selector's job. They do their job. His job is to look after the administration. I think there the roles are slightly more diffused. So there's a lot more pressure. The second is, whoever comes and becomes Bangladesh president, they like to have series at home because they can win those series, but that pulls them into a false sense of security. We are winning games.
Yeah.
But the truth is, they're not really doing very well. The one thing they have done well, I tell you, in the last 4 or 5 years, which they've done much better than they ever have, is I think now they have fast bowlers. Bangladesh never had a fast bowling attack like this.
Yeah.
So with Mustafizur, you're looking at Mustafizur, you're looking at Taskin, you're looking at Shariful, who's not playing today, you're looking at Tanzim. You have now a decent opening bowling attack. You've never had it before.
Yeah.
So they are equally capable of taking wickets under these circumstances. In fact, they bowled really well against South Africa.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing they have, but their batting has not caught up.
The BCCI has certainly been of great help to Bangladesh and is perhaps in a way ensured that they get full member status. Unfortunately for Bangladesh, they never had the kind of moment that Sri Lanka had in '96. I mean, that decade between mid-90s and mid-2000s was Sri Lanka's. I mean, they've qualified for a lot of knockouts, Sri Lanka. Unfortunately, Bangladesh haven't had such a big moment.
Bangladesh had the chances to go through in a lot of games. Even the World Cup, when it was here in India in 2016, was it?
Yep.
When that run out happened at Mushfiqur actually started celebrating before they won the game. So they probably had their chances there. Yep. And to me, I think one word which comes to my mind about Bangladeshi players is they are more into a delusional world. They always look at excuses. If something wrong has gone, you would see a Bangladesh captain or a coach or someone would come out and start complaining rather than looking at their team and looking at where they can improve.
Yeah.
So there is always room for improvement. First, you have to accept it that we are not good enough. We are not winning games outside Bangladesh. But every time you lose a game or lose matches or series, you're always looking for excuse. Yeah. You've lost against USA, and where Shakibul Hasan comes in a press conference, it is a great wake-up call. When you've lost to USA, first accept it that we are not playing good cricket. It's not a wake-up call. Yeah. You just not have played good cricket. So to understand that, accept it, then you can think of improvement. But if you don't accept it, then there is no room for improvement.
That's fabulous from Parthiv Patel. Also, Joy, lack of exposure because apart from Mustafizur, who plays for the CSK, these days you don't see enough Bangladeshi players in the IPL. I doubt if any other Bangladeshi players play in the CPL or elsewhere. In South Africa, in the UAE, they only play in the BPL. So lack of exposure could be a reason as well why they don't have players improving their game season after season.
Yeah, look, the only two players of theirs who's travelled a lot. I mean, you've had players coming from Bangladesh. Ashraful was a part of the MI camp for a long time. Mushraf Murtaza was there for a year. Shakib has been a part of two, KKR teams. He's been a part of the Sunrisers as well.
Yeah.
So they've been there. Lit on little bit last year. He came to KKR, just got one match, got 4 runs, just didn't get enough opportunities. You're right. They aren't travelling as much, given the size of the country and the number of cricketers they produce. They are not travelling as much as they should. I mean, you still see. Compared, they've been in international cricket much longer than, say, the Afghans.
Yeah.
And if you look at Afghanistan, they are really, their players are playing around the globe. Yeah. So somewhere their brand of cricket is not converting that much. The other issue is that their biggest stars that they have. Yeah. I mean, Shakib's game is actually much more allied to, it's much closer to, his best game is a 50-over format.
Yeah.
He does really well.
Yeah.
This is not his format because he's a deflector of the ball. He can hit the ball, but he's not a power hitter in that sense.
Yeah.
And therefore, the T20 game is not really their favourite format.
Parthiv, you've been a talent scout. You have a fair idea of how teams are run and how players are selected. Is it that difficult for Bangladeshis to get gigs elsewhere in T20 cricket? I mean, the IPL is a different beast.
Yeah, see, IPL is definitely a different beast altogether. But if you look at the players also, you don't see those power hitters in Bangladesh camp. So usually when you're picking a player, when you're picking an overseas player, you always look for that power hitting position, which Bangladesh players don't have. They are not traditionally power hitters. As you mentioned, their best player has been Shakib Ul Hasan for a while, but he is also not a power hitter. You talk about Mushfiqur Rahman, arguably one of their very good batters, wicketkeeper. He's also another deflector of the ball. Mahmudullah is someone who can hit long, but he's been inconsistent. And now there's Taurid Hridoy, who's someone who can hit the ball. But yeah, I mean, if you look at Bangladesh players, I think it's very important for them. They need to be a match winner. Shakib Ul Hasan can play a lot of games here is because when you're doing it Sunrisers or KKR, you have a lot of quality players around you. So that's when this kind of a players will do a job. But yeah, for them to first start hitting those big and then maybe create pitches where the ball seaming around, there's a lot of pace on it. Because they are playing on so many turning wickets, you'll always see them playing sweep shots, reverse sweeps. You don't see them hitting down the ground.
It's a passionate country with passionate fans who have a lot of questions, and we've got one really specific, hard-hitting question on one of their talisman cricketers, Shakib Ul Hasan. This one comes in from Jigisha. Hi, Jigisha. She says, first Tamim, next Musfiqur, and now, is it time for Bangladesh to move on from Shakib in T20 internationals? Is it an obsession that's now starting to hurt them?
No, I think, look, Shakib is like, look, to understand Shakib, what he is in Bangladesh, think of somebody who's Shah Rukh Khan and Sachin Tendulkar together. Wow. He's like on every board, he's on everywhere. In the last 4-5 years, more controversy. But before that, he was a golden boy of not just Bangladesh cricket, Bangladesh sport. And he speaks well, sings. So with all that, he's like a talisman to them.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think, as I said, his game was still a good game. Remember one thing, if you look at even the IPL of, say, 2012-14, when Shakib really contributed to KKR, those were days when there were 140, 150 total games. Okay, where a deflector like him worked in the middle order, and he was always been a very crafty and a very skilled bowler.
Yeah.
Okay, so he gave you that. Today's game has also changed. Today's game, I still think he can bowl 4 overs, but what he gives you with the batting is not what teams require right now. And I think that's it. And look, he's played for 17 years for Bangladesh. It's time. Everyone moves on. I think it's time. This should be his last World Cup and move on. Because I think that generation, there's a golden generation. Mushfiqur, Mushraf Murtaza, Shakib, Mahmudullah, all these Tamim Iqbal, they were part of one generation who did their job.
Yeah.
It's done now. Let the others carry it now.
This is something that can perhaps emotionally polarize cricket fans in Bangladesh. Of course, they have a certain emotional connection with Shakib, but fans who want to move on will ask, why not? I mean, why didn't they move on earlier? Is he past his prime? It looks like he's past his prime.
Yeah, I think he has. If you look at his performance, in T20 as in 2024, he's averaging 19, and his strike rate is 140. But these are the games where he's batted higher up the order. But still, when you look at him, you don't see that he'll carry through the inning. Even in 2023 World Cup, in 50-over World Cup, it looked like that his reflexes were going slow. He was getting late on short balls. His head's been falling quite a bit. That is the reason why you see him playing across the line. You see him getting out on shorter ball. He's getting late. So there are a lot of things which are going against him right now. And plus, see, obviously Bangladesh Cricket Board has allowed him to be what he is. I mean, once if someone kicks stumps, like if an Indian cricketer does it in a domestic game, he will be banned for a couple of years. I mean, that's complete indiscipline. So Bangladesh cricket has allowed him to be the person who is right now. And so to me, I think it has time. I mean, we spoke about that in a Hindi show as well when Bangladesh lost to South Africa. That was his kind of a game. He had to be there. He had to just play those 20 overs, and they would have won the game. And today it would have been a complete different story. Then we would have been talking something different about Shakib Al Hasan. So those are the game. Those are crucial games where you need someone who's had that 17 years of experience.
Do they have a replacement for him, or have they not done enough to invest in another player?
They have. I mean, see, they have invested enough. I think there are 4 players from that under-19 winning World Cup team in this squad. So it's not that they are not going in right direction. They are giving them those chances. They are doing whatever they can do. But it's just that even if you don't have a replacement, but then you got to give chances to someone else. You try and change your combination a bit. If you feel that there's a left-arm spinner, all-rounder who's doing the job for us, if that is Shakib Al Hasan, and if it's not doing the job for you, then look at the off-spinner batsman and try and look at another left-arm spinner who can do the job for you. So those are the calculations which you have to do. I mean, you can't just say that just because we do not have anyone, we can't move on. So and for you, Shakib Al Hasan will always be your main player, one of the legend which Bangladesh cricket has produced. So those were very big shoes to fill also. So that also you have to keep that in mind. But it is time for Bangladesh cricket to move on from Shakib.
Is it that difficult for a cricket board president or the coach or another senior player to very politely say to a legend, listen, thank you very much, but you're getting on a bit now?
It's an emotional country, and I think, look, Shakib himself, I think he's not a stupid person. He's a very bright boy. He'll make the call himself. I think every one of us hangs on for that one thing. I think he also reckons that this is the format, one last chance to do something. And they were that close, and he's absolutely right. Actually, this New York pitch suited not just Shakib, it suits Bangladesh because 120, 130 totals, 115, 110 totals, this is their game. In 250 games, they're out. They're not the kind of team who can score 220, 230 runs. So this is their game. That's why they should be kicking themselves, because they should have won that previous game. And he's right. This is the game in which you could have deflected. Shakib would have stood out there, just played smart cricket, deflected here, taken a ball there. Didn't hit a single 4. He could still score 25 or 25 and they would have won the game.
Well, this contest will be closer than it might seem to you. It may be Bangladesh, who've been around for a long time, but they're up against a team that has a lot of players who can punch above their weight. One of them is, of course, Battle. He's among the wickets as well. He was their top wicket taker, not just at the ODI World Cup, but also at the T20 World Cup in Australia. Hit 100, I think, in the ODI World Cup in a must-win game against Scotland. There is Battle also announced the ICC Men's Associate Cricketer of the Year. Clearly one man who can make things happen for the Dutch.
Yeah, I think he's one of those rare breed we talk about, the fast bowling all-rounder. You don't get to see them too often in world cricket. Obviously, even in India we don't have that many options, but in world cricket you don't have so many options. So he's like that gold in Netherlands team that he'll give you those 4 overs. Sure, he'll bat you. He'll bat at any number. You send him opening. You send him at number 4. You send him at number 7. That's where also he can play that kind of a role. He was with MI Emirates a couple of years ago, where I was batting coach, where he was then the deflector. That's when he knew that the power game is coming in. So very sincere. He knows he wanted to take his game to a different level, where he was trying to learn how to hit those big shots. Not that he couldn't hit. He could hit that with a straighter bat, but those trying to clear that front foot and then hit those big shots. That's something which he has worked on, and that's worked really well for him. And we've seen that in recent performances of Bas de Ligt. So he's someone who can who's the Netherlands team actually revolves around Bas de Ligt, at his performance. So that's something which is great for an associate nation.
And he seems to have the game joy for the big stage as well. A 5-wicket haul against Scotland and the 100 that I referred to. He's only 24 years old, so he's someone who can lead them to full member status over the next few years.
I think that's what they're looking at. And they have a very small, lot around Amsterdam, very small pool, but around Amsterdam you have a fair amount of cricket clubs.
Yeah.
The pool is not big, but I mean, they have a lot of really, really exciting players. And Bas de Ligt, Logan van Beek, and all these are, Bas de Ligt is actually a local. And in fact, there's one more story that Parthiv has another connection. Parthiv was watching the game when his father took 4 wickets against India in 2003.
Tim de Ligt.
Tim de Ligt took 4 wickets. He took Sachin. He took Sachin. He took Dravid. I think he got Harbhajan, and he got one more wicket. He got Zahir. He got Zach. And the interesting part about it is then he immediately wanted to go and get the ball signed from Sachin. And he couldn't get Sachin. Then 5-6 years later, I think he found Sachin somewhere and got it signed. So that's his proudest thing. So even in Bas de Ligt's house, the most important possession his father has is a ball signed by Sachin Tendulkar.
Yeah.
All these associate nation players have so many of these really heartwarming stories. Now, how would IPL scouts look at such players with a lot of potential, a lot of promise? If they are from associate nations, are they not taken as seriously with due respect?
Though, I mean, if you have quality, then it doesn't matter where are you coming from. I mean, look at how many Afghanistan players have come in. When you look at Rashid Khan, when Sunrisers picked him, Afghanistan still was an associate nation. They had not played Test cricket. Nabi was there. So it's not that associate players are not being taken seriously. I mean, Ireland still has a Test status, but still you can see that you don't put them into same category as international players. Joshua Little comes in and plays for Gujarat Titans. So that's not the case. It's just a quality. If you're a quality player, then it doesn't matter. But on top of that, usually when an associate player comes in, he comes at a slightly cheaper price also. That's so. If someone has a lot of talent, the IPL team definitely looks at
If
him.
not IPL, maybe teams owned by the same people in other leagues, right?
No, absolutely. I mean, look at Ryan Tenduskate. He came for KKR. He was a star for KKR, but he used to play all around the world. I mean, he used to play in the New Zealand League. He's played Big Bash. He used to play English cricket, county cricket for Essex. So all these players, and that's the one thing, because the Netherlands season is small, their club cricket season is small. Even cricketers who play for Netherlands, normally all these cricketers play a lot of county cricket and a lot of other league cricket as well. And that's where they get their main experience from, because there's just not enough cricket there to do. So look, people are very associate nation cricketers are now taken very, very seriously. And you're right. A lot of them, people are looking to do multiple deals with them. You play with me, you play for my team in the MLC, you play for the Dubai League, UAE League, MLC.
SA
then SA T20 you might get a chance, and then of course my home I might have an IPL franchise where you have a chance. So those deals are also happening. A lot of them are happening.
Making them play in South Africa, in the MLC or in UAE, is that the right route to bring them into the IPL?
See, it's obviously a place where maybe a ladder which first step towards IPL. There is no doubt about it. But then if you're a quality player, you can straight away get into an IPL side. But a lot of Netherlands players they actually go and play club cricket in South Africa and Australia, because as Joyda mentioned that they have a very small window where they can play their club cricket. Otherwise, they play a lot of club cricket in South Africa and Australia. But there's definitely opportunity for a lot of players now with T20 World Cup being around. Then MLC, there is CPL, there is BBL, there is Bangladesh Premier League, there is Sri Lankan Premier Leagues. So there are a lot of Premier Leagues happening, and then most of the leagues are happening at the same time also. So there's always room for those kind of players, and there is always room. There is always a player. Everyone needs players. So I think that this World Cup is also an opportunity for a lot of players to show how good they are. So then they can get into one of those leagues and then get noticed by IPL franchises as well.
It's rare that we have PPpedia on the English show, so I'm going to make full use of his presence here. What we will do is we'll put up the Netherlands squad, and we'll get Parthiv to tell us what he makes of some of the players that have impressed him the most.
I think main is definitely Bas de Leer. I mean, that's the reason why he was there. He's done really well. Max O'Dowd, when he's been around, he hasn't had scored that many runs in this World Cup, but he's someone who was impressed a lot. And then Paul van Meekeren, he's someone who can bowl really well with the one change bowler.
Yeah.
In fact, there's another story about a chap, Sijbrand Engelbrecht. You've actually all seen him, because if you remember the 2008, the Under-19 World Cup, that's the first Under-19 World Cup we were all watching.
Yeah.
Virat Kohli got out to an absolute scorcher of a catch. It was the catch of the tournament. It was taken by him because he was playing for South Africa in that tournament. So he took that catch, and he, after that, was regarded as a South African prospect, obviously Under-19 team, and then faded.
Yeah.
And then he goes away and says that, I'm not going to interest too much in cricket anymore. It's not working. Went to business school, studied, then moves to the Netherlands, and then starts basically playing cricket just to make friends again. Social life, you need to see. And then, Ryan Cook, who was the coach of of the Netherlands unit, caught him and said, what, you could play for us. So are you sure I'm not? And the first thing, it's very interesting, is that he didn't want to deny any youngster a chance, because that's also one thing, You come in, he's in his 30s, early 30s in those days. You don't want to deny anybody else a chance. So they looked at it and they said, no, I think we need your skills. So today he's out there and playing for them. So again, the kind of play, he also gives you a lot of these associate nations, as we see with Nitra Walkar, with Harmeet Singh, with Jaffer of Canada. They're the second chances. These are the second chances. They're coming back with associate nations. And then their dream is always to play a World Cup. You can't play it for your own country, you're playing it for somebody else.
And therefore, it's so heartening that the ICC decided to have a 20-team World Cup. If it wasn't for a 20-team World Cup, we wouldn't know these stories.
Yeah, I think for ICC, apart from timing, if you look at this World Cup, this could be a very successful World Cup for them. We might just see USA going through. You will see Afghanistan going through in Super 8s, beating New Zealand and bigger sides like that. US has already beaten Pakistan. So Scotland has a great chance of going through to the Super 8s also. So England might not qualify. So from that point of view, I think you can say that this is a successful World Cup, but yeah, the timings have been odd. If it was somewhere else, you would have, got to see a lot of games, and you would have got to see a lot of improvement what these associate nations have done. So yeah, I mean, from that point of view, yeah, it's different timing.
At times, Joy, bigger teams and their fans, out of a bit of cockiness, can say, listen, let's not waste our time. These are smaller nations. The quality isn't quite there. But more the merrier for the neutral fan, or for the genuine cricket lover, more the merrier, right?
Absolutely. I have one more thing to say, that, when the World Cup, the Football World Cup went from 22 to 24 to 32 teams, everyone screamed about it. Oh, you're totally reducing the quality of the teams. You'll see, what are you doing out here? Then Saudi Arabia goes and beats an Argentina. That also happens, right? So when you look at it, you just need to give people a chance. If you're playing a World Cup, the more countries that play, the better it is. And this talk about quality, where has cricket actually improved? Cricket has actually improved, really spread, because T20 gave you international status from the very start.
Yeah.
Before this, ODIs, you cannot play official ODIs. Nobody can play official tests. So your little club of 10, 11 countries only stays,
Yeah.
It's T20 that has democratized cricket.
Yeah.
And now that you've got these people you've got these people there, let them see a dream of playing a World Cup, 20-team World Cup. Yeah. If we say 32-team Football World Cup, we don't have a problem. Why should we have a problem with a 20-team Cricket World Cup?
4 teams have already qualified for the Super 8s. Afghanistan have a shot. Who knows? Netherlands might have a shot as well. They've got to win tonight to give themselves a stronger chance of going through in a Group D kind of scenario, where South Africa have already made it. Bangladesh, Netherlands very much in the fray. And let's give you that points table once again to figure what the possibilities are for these two teams. The winner tonight has a stronger chance. The loser will have to hope that the winner loses their next game. So that's what is at stake. The toss is about to happen at about 8 p.m., which is in about a minute from now. Both the captains are out there. We've got to talk about Mustafizur. A lot of us have seen a lot of him for the Chennai Super Kings. And 2024, he's been one of the highest wicket takers in T20 cricket, surely the highest for Bangladesh. How have you seen his evolution as a bowler?
Maybe he's bowled really well. I think you can see a lot of improvement in his bowling. His the economy is great. The strike rate of 13 is almost 14, but that's great to take 45 wickets.
PP, I want to ask you, like 2016, he was a marvelous. He was a new wonder.
Yeah.
Okay, he sort of actually bowled sunrisers to that thing. He seemed to fade away. What has changed again?
I think, when in 2016, 17, that time his fastest delivery was about 140, 145, and his slower one was coming down to 110, 115. So I think that was a big difference. But now, after that, for a couple of years or 3 years, his fastest delivery had come to 130, 135, and slower was always 120, 115. So that's when he was not deceiving so many batters with that kind of a pace, change of pace rather. But now that, with experience, with playing for Chennai Super Kings, he's been using the crease really well. He's using those angles really well. Plus, his understanding of the pitch has also become, he's become smarter bowler. The great example is how he has bowled in New York. He was the only bowler, rather, actually, that he was not trying to bowl Yorkers. If you saw Haris Rauf trying to bowl those Yorkers, we saw Arshdeep trying to bowl those Yorkers, we saw a lot of bowlers trying to bowl Yorkers, but he was the only bowler, he was not bowling Yorkers. He gave about 1 run in 20th over against South Africa, and was not a single Yorker in 20th over. So I think playing for Chennai Super Kings and understanding his own limitations, so that is also important. He knew that my fitness doesn't allow me to bowl 145 anymore. So I have to use those angles. I have to be very smart. And that's where he has come to his peak performance again.
14 wickets for Chennai in the IPL. Also picked up 6 for 10 against the United States just before the World Cup. Clearly, he now has a degree in game awareness from the MSD School of Cricket.
Absolutely, and look, that's the point. That once players get older, it's like this: your experience increases, your skills decrease, over time. Okay?
Yeah.
And maximizing that is basically, it's how you can maximize that, because you are going to lose. You're not going to be the tearaway bowler all your life. In fact, they say Imran Khan was a much smarter bowler later in his career than he was when he was really an out-and-out fast bowler.
Yeah. Right. The Netherlands have won the toss and they have chosen to field first. How big a toss is that?
It is a big toss. I think that's a big advantage there. We saw a pitch. It's going to be, it might seem a bit, and then it will suit Netherlands bowlers also. Those kind of bowlers where they don't have too much of pace, but they're always accurate. They'll just keep on hitting those right areas, because most of them play. There's a lot of county cricket. They play on a wicket where there's a lot of help. So I think this will be a test for Bangladeshi batters.
Bangladesh batting first. We spoke about how they need to bolster their batting, but they have gone in unchanged. Was there a case for Soumya Sarkar to come in, perhaps?
See, my only point was, and I think I agree with them, you cannot give a player one game and drop him after that.
Yeah.
So I think that's exactly what they did. I mean, they persisted with him. Soumya, they couldn't, because they just dropped Soumya.
Yeah.
And after that, to get a player in, make a change immediately after one game doesn't make sense.
You agree? Fair call?
Yeah, I think, they were always in the game. It wasn't that they lost in the last ball.
Yeah.
And yes, and that is how you got to make player. If you're looking for a replacement, you can't just have one player playing that is Jacker Ali. I think you can't have that. If there is
you can't give Jacker Ali just one match
just one chance, and then there is no point. Then you have to give them those opportunities, and that is the reason why you see that Bangladesh has not made any changes, I think. But looking at this team, they would be expecting runs from Shanto, the captain. They would be expecting runs from Liton Das, Shakibul Hasan. But their main player to me is Tawhid Hridoy. He's come from ages. Yeah. He's done really well in Asia Cup. He's done well here in this difficult pitches as well. Even against South Africa on that difficult pitch against the hostile pace attack, he looked really comfortable, and probably got done by not a good decision. It would have been missing just an umpire.
That kind of decision when it goes against you is a day you really feel bad.
And he did say, I should have finished the game. So he'll be smarting from that heartbreak. Tawhid Hridoy, clearly he's got the numbers to suggest that he's got the game to help Bangladesh go through.
Yeah. In fact, it's very interesting. I was reading an interview of his. He's talking about pace and how difficult is it. And he said that, when we played the plays before this, when we played the previous matches, when I was looking at under 19 and playing, I played along the ground. His natural game is to hit sixes, but he adjusted his game because you'd get more runs playing on the ground and all that. And now his problem was to now adjust back to hitting sixes, because T20 is a game of sixes. If you don't power hit, especially the position he's batting in, he needs to be able to clear the ground. So he's gone back. But he's a fearless guy, because when he was asked about, what he thinks about fast bowling, he says he started his career facing Jofra Archer. So after that, everything is easier. If you're
two consecutive seasons with 400 plus runs in the Bangladesh Premier League. So that perhaps tells you that he's worked on that aspect of his game.
Yeah, he has, and that's something which all the Bangladeshi players also talk about him. They said, he's very small in stature, but he's someone who can hit those big shots, and that is what he was doing in New York pitch as well, where everyone else was finding it difficult to hit those big shots. But we've seen that he's got talent. He's someone who can give you those big runs. He is the future player, and then the way his understanding of the game says, he could well be the future captain also. He's very young, he's talented. So that is the reason why I think they're banking on him.
24 sixes, as I said. He's got his maiden T20 100 as well. So I suppose he'll fancy himself against slightly lesser experienced Netherlands lineup, Joy.
Look, I think he's going to come in. The point is how well they face the new ball, because I think he's important, because he's the one who's going to give them the kick at the back. Up front, it really depends. Shanto, Litton. If you're opening, look, the best place to play in a T20 match is 1, 2, 3. So those guys are just not giving them enough. You cannot expect Tawhid and Mahmudullah to take out every match for you. And that's what they're doing. They're depending on 4 and 5 and 6 to give them the runs. And I think that top order, they've got the talent out there. I was looking at Litton, and I realized that Litton, this is his average now. He's still not an average of 30. And he has not scored in T20 internationals. He hasn't got a 50 since March 2023. No. So, I mean, if you don't get a 50, I can understand if you're batting at 6 and 7, like say somebody like a MSG or somebody bats at that position. But you're batting up front. And after that fantastic innings which he played against India in the World Cup, he really hasn't shown anything to give you confidence. And the talent is there, the ability is there. They just need more from these players.
He's been batting at 5 in the 2 games that he's played so far. They were 3 down very quickly in both those games. Is there a case for him to be sent in at 4 or 3?
See,
he bats higher up in the BPL, by the way.
Yeah, he does. But they needed that left-hander in between somewhere. They don't have this left-hander, because that's the reason why Shakib Shakib came in last game at number 4. And see, the reason behind they don't have that settled batting lineup is also form of Shakibul Hasan, because they do not know actually where his optimum performance will come. So he started as number 7, he went at number 4. So there is an opportunity here where that Tawhid Hriday is your main batter. Try and give him as many balls as possible. Try and get him the 3rd or 4, maybe 2 down, because they're playing with 3 openers. Shanto wants to open, and then Litton Das cannot bat at number 7. So your captain wants to open. So that's when you don't have a space. So that is the reason probably Tawhid Hriday there is an opportunity for him to bat at number 4.
Right. Netherlands have made just the one change. I don't think anyone of us expected it. Aryan Dutt comes in.
We called it yesterday.
Oh yeah, we did on the pre-show.
We called it yesterday that Aryan Dutt has a good chance of coming in, because Aryan Dutt can take the new ball as well. He bats a bit.
He comes in for Neither
Manru, who's it's interesting though, because he's an offie, and they have a lineup where mostly right-handers, right?
So Shakib,
except Shakib, they're mostly right-handers.
But even Neither Manru bowls right arm off break and is a right-hand bat.
But I think as I said, he bowls with the new ball.
Okay.
And I think, but today is not the day where you'll give him the new ball, will you?
No.
Under these circumstances, the ball doing a bit, perhaps they won't.
What do you make of this?
I think that's probably the change. If you're replacing a same skill of bowler with same kind of player, so then that's when you are looking at the form. You're not looking at anything else. So probably Aryan Dutt would be, bowling well in the nets, and that is the reason why they must have got him in. But it's not a tactical change. Tactical change usually happens when you're dropping a fast bowler and getting a spinner, or dropping a spinner and getting a fast bowler, or get an extra batter. You are getting in the same set of player into the side. So I think that could be the reason where Aryan might be bowling well in the nets, and that is the reason why he's getting this opportunity.
There's one man that allows them a lot of flexibility in terms of their bowling plans. His name is Logan van Beek. can bowl in any phase. Parthiv, looks like he's okay to bowl in the power play, in the middle overs, in the death as well. He's got good numbers to show.
I mean, that's what you want. You first of all, you would want to bowl in difficult situations. You would want to take your team out of those difficult situations. And that's exactly what he does. And look at his numbers. And power play, his economy is only 6.66. 7 to 15. Also, he has that kind of a length. He bowls just back of the length. And when you go in slog overs, usually you would take it. Anything under 10, the kind of grounds which they would be playing on a smaller grounds. So New York pitch is not everywhere. That's only in New York. So you would definitely take that economy of 10 if you're bowling in slog overs.
Got the wickets of Klaasen, David Miller, Keshav Mara in the ODI World Cup. I think he has a solid performance in the Super Over as well against Jason Holder. Hit 30 runs, so he can hit the long ball. Quality player, can do both.
I mean, there's that innings of his basically propelled Netherlands
to the World Cup.
That
was in the qualifiers, yes.
In the qualifiers. So that is the innings. Look, Logan Van Beek also, again, where does he come from? He's basically, his entire cricket career is based in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So he comes from those conditions. In fact, he'll fancy, if the ball is doing a bit out here and it's a fresh wicket, I think he'll fancy bowling on these pitches.
Right. Head and heart.
Netherlands have won a very big toss, but if you look at Bangladesh's team also, they've played good cricket. They've beaten South Africa, they've beaten Sri Lanka, they've almost beat South Africa. So yeah, I mean, if they manage to not lose too many wickets in first 6 overs, they'll have a better chance. But looking at just players against players, I think Bangladesh should win this game.
On pedigree, on experience, Bangladesh have the upper hand. Netherlands are unknown to play well enough to push the big teams. They almost beat South Africa, but here's their chance. They won the toss. They will bowl first. Players are walking out. Joy, enough time for us to give our viewers joy factor.
Okay, here goes, and it's an interesting one because it's something that doesn't happen too often. Which cricketer took a hat-trick in his last international match and is also the player of the match? So you're very unlikely to get a hat-trick and then not play again for your country. Yeah. But this cricketer took a hat-trick and never played again.
One might be tempted to think it's a Pakistani because only they can drop players who do well. But it might just be a googly. Who knows? Try and Google that one and get back to us with the answer. We shall reveal the answer on our post-game show tonight, and we'll also say hello to the winner. Predictions, gentlemen. Bangladesh batting first. They haven't been batting well, but this is not New York.
This is not New York. Is the line of this World Cup.
Line of this World Cup, yeah. But it wasn't New York.
It was New York State. Nassau County, New York State.
150.
Ooh.
Okay, I just have a number flashing in my head, so I'll go with it. 137. I have no idea why.
Okay, maybe we'll have a Tawhid Ridoy special. I'll go with 162.
Every Bangladeshi fan will love you. If they get 162, they will win this game.
Yeah.
Chalo. Follow me on Instagram for more. No, follow Cricbuzz. That's where all the action is. We're done. Mr. Zaid Khan is leading the charts on our guessing game leaderboard. He's gone up to number 1, Saimi at 3. Simon Dool, who I don't know if he's going to be in action on Cricbuzz Live anymore because he's in the West Indies doing commentary. I hope I do well. But there's a huge gap between me and Mr. Gaurav Kapoor, who is literally the defending champion of this game.
He isn't actually.
He wasn't?
Defending champion.
Didn't he win?
Manoj Tiwari.
Oh, okay.
Gaurav is heartbroken. Please understand that.
Oh yeah, he did say that the EVMs were hacked.
He's like the marathon runner who was leading for 42 kilometers and the last 200 yards. Manoj Tiwari.
Imagine the pull he has in this building. He managed to get the rules changed, sir.
No.
Gaurav Kapoor owns the building. Half the furniture anyway he's taken home. The red table, everything he's taken home.
Gaurav Kapoor owns the world. Kapoor Saab, if you're watching, we'll see you again soon. But you guys and girls watching Cricbuzz Live, do join us on the mid-game show after this innings. Bye for now.